I want to address a particular topic that is sometimes on Pal Talk. There are people who say that the Bible prohibits debates, and I want to look at Scripture to see what it says. First section I'll address is found in Titus 3, 9-11. Quote, "But avoid foolish controversies and genealogies, and arguments and quarrels about the law, because these are unprofitable and useless. Warn a divisive person once, and then warn him a second time. After that, have nothing to do with them. You may be sure that such people are warped and sinful, they are self-condemned." Unquote. Verse 9 is the verse that is often used to say that debates are wrong, but a careful reading of the text is that it's referring to dealing with heretics within the church who are teaching error that they ought not to. Plus, Paul is exhorting Titus not to continually waste his time with heretics. He's essentially saying, if they don't pay attention to you after 2 admonitions, don't bother with them or fellowship with them. There is nothing about prohibiting public debates. After all, the Council of Nicaea housed the debate between Trinitarians and Arians, not to mention the debates within the New Testament itself. Most councils, including the Jerusalem Council in the New Testament, came together to settle disputes in the church, like Acts 15, which you can read for yourself. Another verse that's often used, I think is used, anyway, is from 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 3-7. Quote, "As I urged you when I went into Macedonia, stay there in Ephesus so that you may command certain people not to teach false doctrines any longer, or to devote themselves to myths and endless genealogies. Such things promote controversial speculations rather than advancing God's work, which is by faith. The goal of this command is love, which comes from a pure heart and a good conscience and a sincere faith. Some have departed from these, have turned to meaningless talk. They want to be teachers of the law, but they do not know what they are talking about, or what they so confidently affirm." Unquote. Once again, the context is to admonish false teachers and to tell them to cease what they're doing. It is not speaking against public debate or discussion. It's the same principle with Titus 3:9. Now let's look at examples of some public debate within the New Testament, if you don't believe what I'm saying. Acts 18:27-28. Quote, "When Apollos wanted to go to Achaia, the brothers and sisters encouraged him and wrote to the disciples there to welcome him. When he arrived, he was a great help to those who by grace believed, for he vigorously refuted his Jewish opponents in public debate, proving from the scriptures that Jesus was the Messiah." Unquote. Next one, Acts 9:28-30. Quote, "So Saul stayed with them and moved about freely in Jerusalem, speaking boldly in the name of the Lord. He taught and debated with the Hellenistic Jews, but they tried to kill him. When the believers learned of this, they took him down to Caesarea and sent him off to Tarsus." Unquote. Now, depending on the translation that you read, it could be disputing, arguing, whatever. The fact is, the context shows debates going on. Were Apollos and Paul in error for engaging in a disputation with the Jews regarding the messiahship of Jesus? Now, there are times where you don't waste your time with someone who mocks the gospel, as it would be casting pearls before swine, and it would be a pointless disputation with them. Also, Jesus was involved in many disputes with the Pharisees and the Sadducees, such as in Mark 12, where the resurrection, amongst other issues, is discussed. I would request you look into the issues of debates as to whether the scripture allows it. Be a Berean. Thanks for taking the time to watch this.